Hello, this is the old guy. Today we're gonna talk about gas. Not the kind of gas that makes you bloated, but the kind of gas that makes you buy gear.
My last upgrade, a coffee machine. Everybody can relate to coffee.
Gear acquisition syndrome.
And then we have this YouTube setup I started out with. A MacBook from 12, Canon M100 and a Zoom H1 recorder. And should you upgrade to this MacBook 16 inches M and this Sony A7 IV, try to avoid gas.
And I'm gonna take a different route than the other YouTubers talking about gear. Most YouTubers are like a cabbage-rich diet. The more you see them, the more gas you get. But I'm gonna teach you a mindset that might help you with your gas problem. It's a little checklist to make you upgrade for the right reasons and not just because your gas is screaming to get out. But beware of the YouTubers. Come to this channel because I'm not gonna try to sell you anything, and this is free advice. Gas comes in many shapes and forms. My biggest gas problem comes from cameras, and I have to restrict myself not to buy the new stuff that comes out. But luckily, I made this little checklist, an algorithm for myself, to avoid getting bloated. And I try to watch the YouTubers that are not in the pocket of the camera companies. But gas can come in many forms and shapes. My wife gets gas when she looks at new Apple products. And this little algorithm or checklist can be used in all purchases. If it's shoes, coffee machines, cameras, or PCs and Macs, all gear. But you can't use this one-on-one on your wife's gas, because as we all know, women's gas smell like flowers. It's the same with gear purchases. You can't directly tell her it's not relevant or it's irrational. So you gotta keep on the thin red line. This gas handling has got 4 steps. But let's get into it. Budget. That's the most important one. And this is a hierarchy. So budget, it always trumps the other ones. If you can't afford it, don't buy it. Does it make financially sense? Number 2, are you more likely to get the job done? Does it eliminate bugs, mistakes or other errors compared to your older gear? This is number 2 on the list, but budget still trumps it. And then we got workflow, or the efficiency of the product. And remember, the other 2 points still trumps it. It's a hierarchy. Last checkpoint would be better quality.
Everybody needs coffee, and you gotta have cameras to make YouTube videos. And in my case, to shoot weddings. I upgraded from this kettle and this instant coffee.
And you can always buy things that make marginally better quality. But then we comes into diminishing returns. And let's take cameras as an example. Today, every camera makes great pictures. There has come some strides in the video quality, but the only reasonable one to upgrade for is 10-bit in the color spectrum. A setup like this studio, where the lighting is uniform and you can control the white balance, I see no need for 10-bit. So that gets you right back to budget. You want to buy the latest, the greatest, the FX9 Mark II, because it has 8K in 60p, maybe even a 100p. And the last step, it's not a part of the algorithm. You have to go through this checklist again to be sure that you're not affected too much by gas and you're bloated when you're buying. I personally set my buy dates on very specific days, like the Black Friday or the Prime days. The good thing about that is that you give the thoughts some time and you can go over this algorithm one more time, this checklist. And maybe you even get a sale on the product you're looking for. And I'm sure you're less bloated that day because you haven't just sit and watched 30 reviews on the product, giving you massive gas. And you can make more rational decisions.
The kettle and the instant coffee wins in all other accounts. Only thing that trumps my first setup is the quality. I do like the coffee, but the purchase didn't stand a chance to run through this checklist. And now to cameras and Macs. Here I actually mostly used this checklist for my purchases. And this is what I use for my YouTube, pretty budget friendly. But for my wedding shots, I use the A7 IV because of the 2 card slots, the 10-bit I can work with in post when I mess it up a bit on site, and I use a MacBook Pro for a little more speed. I'm keeping my kettle and my instant coffee because you always need a backup, just like when you're shooting weddings.
Hope this helps. Bye from the old guy.